Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ken's Show and Tell, recommissioning my 1959 Mercedes Benz 220S chassis W180 Ponton Sedan. In this recommissioning video, I'm redoing the electromagnetic clock. Now, I've tried again and again to get this clock running, and as many of you know who have ever messed with these things, it's usually the problem is in here, and or the points, and or the mechanism needs to be cleaned, the beautiful mechanical mechanism. And as many of you know, many of these clocks get to be rebuilt many times over. This one right here was rebuilt by Lauderdale Speed Shop or Speed Meter in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in 2018. And guess what? It doesn't work. And so I could spend, $200-300 to have it cleaned or rebuilt or whatever, and then it wouldn't, who knows how long it's going to work. I've been down that road before, my W111. And we know it's inevitable. It will fail. And the other option, and many of you might find this obscene, but to convert the old electromechanical mechanism to a quartz mechanism. And that's what I'm going to do, and that's what this video is about. So the first thing you need to do is take apart your clock and remove the mechanical mechanism. It's pretty straightforward. It starts off with a couple of little tiny nuts, and then the whole thing just comes apart in layers. Next thing you have to do is prepare the back of this, and part of what you want to do, is make it flat back here. And I use a little Dremel and cut these pieces here that was holding the mechanism in place. So it kind of goes like this and fits down in there. Another thing you have to do is this hole here at the face of the clock for the stem to come through is too tiny for this piece right here. So I took a round file, and filed out the hole to where so it's going to be a little bit bigger. So I'm in the process of doing that, so getting the stuff ready. And the most important thing is you have to make sure that the stem does not extend too far out to interfere with the cover here and the glass. Now, in these kits that I bought, the clock stems come in different lengths. This is a 3/4 inch, which I found to be better because you can always take up the slack in there if need be, but you can't make it longer. So this is a 3/4 inch. And also they come with a variety of hands. So these are the original hands that came out of the clock. And as you know, the original clock did not have a second sweep hand, but these quartz ones do. And here are the hands I've chosen out of the package to use. This one here is going to be the second sweep hand, and I'm going to use this because it has the nice finish that the original one had, kind of like it. And I'm not gonna have to paint it red. I'm just going to leave it that anodized color there. But these have to be cut down to size, and I chose these because I know I'll be cutting back in here, and so it will be kind of simple and easy to read, and these will be painted red. I've glued this old gasket I have in one of my parts bins, and I'm sure y'all have bins like that, to lift this up, give this some more space so this can sit a little higher, because this stem is too long. It will make the hands not only hit the glass but interfere with the bezel around the face there. So while I'm letting this dry and I can do adjustments there, I can see this right here is the sweep second hand I'm going to put on, and this is the original hour hand. So I'm going to cut this little tail off of this and then cut this hand to be about the same length as this part right here. The old minute hand and the new second sweep hand are the same length, and I've cut the tail off. Here's the new one for the Quarts clock. It doesn't have a tail on it, which is perfect. The other side of it, this is upside down. The other side is black. I'm going to paint it red with fingernail polish. I need to cut this the same length. Cut this new one the same length as the old one. Old next to new. The original hour hand on top of the new hour hand, and you can see the length I need to cut it to. And here is the hour hand cut to the proper length. This is what I'm using for paint on these hands. I love the name of this red fingernail polish. It's called Take Me. Because I'm painting over black, I'm going to do several coats. I don't think this gasket on the back is giving me the enough lift, if you will, to move this up to provide clearance for the hands here on this face. So I'm going to add just a few more tiny little pieces of rubber along here to equally raise that up just a little bit more. Second coat. And the back of the clock now. Slowly building it up, and I believe this is as much as I want to come up. I've discovered that these extra little things here I was using on the stem, just thinking I might want to clear it, close it up a little bit, has been getting in the way of this. So without all this stuff on the stem, what I've done here is perfect. So let's just drop some glue on these pieces here, and it will affix this to that. And then while that's drying, we'll put another coat of paint on our hands. Now, in preparation for giving it that authentic look, I want to put this winding mechanism back in there. I want to leave this entire shaft from this sprocket backwards, because I believe it will fit. So I'm going to cut off this bottom part here from my thumb this way down to here. I'm going to cut it right here, and then we'll see if that fits. This has been cut to where the rod goes down inside there. It's glued right here, so it looks like it's functional, but it won't, because it's quartz and there's no way to make that work back there. When you install these hands on these quartz clocks, the instructions are to put the hour hand on first, then the minute hand, then the second sweeping hand, and everything be done to the 12 o'clock, and because these things are automatically regulated at the factory. Let me turn this over and I'll show you what I'm getting ready to do. I don't want to just put a battery in there because eventually when the battery runs down I have to pull this clock out again. So what I want to do, I want to wire in a remote AA battery holder that's directly wired to here, and this will be mounted on the inside of the glove box, so it would be easy for me to change the batteries. So let me go ahead and solder this up here. Here's the remote battery wired in to the clock. Here's the clock working. Here is what it looks like on the back. See the wheel turning. In addition to doing this remote for the battery, and it's running well, clock, I wanted to do something else. And that is, if you remember, in putting in this quartz movement, I had to cut little barrel off of here where the light would have been. Now it's 12 volts, and of course this clock is 1.5 volts. So what I did was I wired in here. Here's the wire that will be going into the car itself for a 12 volt source for lights. Now what I did was I couldn't put back in the incandescent light, so I put in a pair of LED soft or warm white lights. Let me show you what it looks like here. So there it is, warm soft glow. That's kind of how it will look inside the car. I think that'll be a nice addition. Thank you for watching Ken's Show and Tell.